Okay, Parashat Phinchas. Parashat Phinchas. Parashat Phinchas deals with has many aspects to it, a lot of things in it. However, in Parashat Phinchas, there is one very unique request of Moshe Rabbeinu. And the request is, we'll see a little further down. We'll see further down. When you learn leadership, in the Western society, when you learn leadership, you go to schools for that. When you're in the army, you go. Depends on how higher your ranking, you go. You take a lot of leadership courses. So there's a lot of research of leadership, about the topic of leadership. However, when you look into that, you could see two main approaches that tries to define who is a good leader or an appropriate leader. I mean, it's very apropos, I guess, for nowadays. We had the Republican convention. Today we have the big circus of the other convention, Democrat convention. In between, everybody hates the Jews. Everybody wants to be, I'm the leader, I'm the one, choose me. I don't know. So according to one school of thought, a leader is a great person with tremendous personal qualities that stands above the rest of the people. Okay, he is a very unique human being, and that assumption in the base of this assumption is the many personal traits that are universal, which are similar to all great leaders across the world. Those characteristic tendencies are they don't depend on time or events. It's above time in terms of historical time, and it's whatever has happened. It's a group of things that came together that made them appropriate to become leaders. These are those people, that school of thought. According to that, we need to look at Moshe Rabbeinu in terms of what is he doing here. We know that there was a complaint about Moshe Rabbeinu made a so-called Aaron. We think that they made a chet, they made an avera, and to be honest with you, it's not so clear what was their great sin. Let's look at it this way. The meraglim, the spies, and the people who complained after the spies came, didn't want to go into Israel, they wanted to go back to Egypt, these lies and so on and so forth. Okay, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you know what, guys? Fine. You don't want to go? You want to go? Fine. You're not going to go to Eretz Israel. But what did Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron did that was so bad that because of that they couldn't go to Israel? What was the great sin? And we really need to see that if we say that they had a sin, what was really the source of that sin? Okay, the source of that sin was the complaints of the people, which were quite unique. Maybe I shouldn't say unique. They were quite regular. They were quite regular and they were quite benign for the time being. So therefore, in a way, Moshe and Aaron were supposed to get used to this already. And what caused them such a tremendous reaction and almost a sense of, I can't take these people anymore, I had enough. It is very possible that the answer is not in the essence of the complaint, more in the complainers themselves. Okay? The parasha starts at the beginning of the 40th year for leaving Mitzrayim, for Yetziat Mitzrayim. And we are not talking about the people who left Mitzrayim. That generation is already gone. They died because of what? The sin of the Meraglim, which was like 3 months or 4 months after they left Mitzrayim. They had the chet of the Meraglim, and I guess they're going to spend around the desert the rest of the 40 years. We're talking about the generation of the children, which is very interesting. Moshe Rabbeinu was very forgiving all this time. He was very forgiving in regards to the generation of the parents. He was always forgiving. He was willing to put himself in danger, to be erased from the book for the generation of the parents. The generation of by the way, guys, it has to do with us as well, not only them. It has to do with us. Okay, it has to do with us. And these are the people who had the mentality of slaves. They didn't know any better. They were slaves all their lives. The parents were slaves. They had that kind of a mindset of slaves. But Moshe Rabbeinu had tremendous hope that he had in the generation of the people, of the children that were born in the desert. He had tremendous hope in these people that they would be able to stand up to the challenges that would face them, and regardless of how complex and difficult they are. And here, the first time in Lichora, it would seem, or maybe one of the first chances they have, so-called, to prove themselves, it seems like the children are worse than the parents. These are the people who were born free. And they were not able to get rid of this slave mentality. I understand the parents, but the children is a complete disappointment, maybe in the eyes of Moshe and Aaron. In a way, that point of frustration that Moshe and Aaron experience is, in a way, because it seems like Am Yisrael is coming back to the same point of being a slave. I thought you were free for 40 years. I thought you changed your mindset, and guess what? You're still at the same point you're a slave. You know what? That's it. I give up. I can't take this anymore. I give up. That new generation, with the same old cliches about a woman or a man. No, that's Bob Seger. No. You know this song? Here I am on the road again. You don't know? So the same old cliches about why did you take us out of Egypt? Why did you take us out of this? We want to go back. You brought us to the desert to die. But what's wrong with you people? What's wrong with you? That brought Moshe and Aaron to almost unbearable time. Later on in the parasha, all of a sudden, it seems like there is a dramatic shift. And Am Yisrael all of a sudden is giving is taking some initiative here, and they take responsibility to fight with the Canaanites, with the Canaanim, without the involvement of Moshe Rabbeinu. And the pasuk makes sure that we will know that, and it says, "Vayidar Israel v'yishma Hashem b'kol Israel." And Am Yisrael made a neder, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu listened to Israel. Moshe is out of this equation all of a sudden, right? And later on, Bnei Israel even make a shira, Az Yashir Israel, and they have the shira. We have few shirot in the Chumash. The most beautiful one is of course Shirat Hayam. Then we have Shirat Am Yisrael. That doesn't seem so, they want to sing, they're happy, but it's not so elaborate. And then we have this shira of Moshe Rabbeinu that it's completely out there, somewhere. In other words, very difficult to understand. But they sing the Az Yashir Israel, and in the end we have this, with this whole thing of going through the Amorites' territory and the war that comes after that. It seems like Moshe Rabbeinu is out of the scene. He's on a retirement tour or something of that sort. And Bnei Israel are the ones who send the messengers to do the negotiations. Let us walk in your land, let us walk in your land, and so on and so forth. Which is different. That's when it does it with Sichon, which is different when they do it with Edom, which Edom Moshe did, and Sichon Bnei Israel did on themselves. So what exactly happened here? So you could see that clearly that there is a dramatic change that is occurring among Bnei Israel, which take responsibility for their situation, and all of a sudden they are able to deal with new challenges. They're able to face it, to manage situations, and without the involvement of Moshe Rabbeinu, which is very interesting, because all of a sudden, him as a leader, his position is kind of, the stature of Moshe is kind of declining. He's not, they make decisions for themselves, almost like a father who has a child. So the father is a very dominant figure, and so on and so forth, and he grows up, and he grows up, and he grows out, and all of a sudden his son makes decisions in the business, and his son is like this. Fathers that don't want their sons to make decisions actually make very bad fathers, regardless of how much they buy their kids. So what exactly happened, this change in Am Yisrael? What was the reason for this significant change in Am Yisrael? So in order to answer this question, we need to look at the chain of events, a certain chain of events. You can pay attention, for example, that the change that is occurring immediately after the death of Aaron, it seems like Am Yisrael is going through a certain process of maturity. They're becoming more mature. Children cannot really, and all the psychologists can jump, I don't care what they say, but children cannot really grasp mourning. They cannot mourn. They will feel sad, but they don't go through mourning. Okay, mourning is done by an adult person. He understands the loss. Children say, "Oh, where is Daddy?" He's in the Angels playing football. Okay, I don't know. He's making moonshine up in heaven. So, okay, so when he comes back, is he ever going to come back here? So, but right after the death of Aaron, Bnei Israel mourning him, and they mourning him in a very serious manner. By the way, much greater than they mourn Miriam. Much greater. And it seems that together with this, the feeling of almost being orphaned, because Moshe and Aaron were like the quote-unquote parents of them, so they became like orphans after the death of Miriam and Aaron as well. And they know that the death of Moshe is coming. They really understand that there is no leader in Am Yisrael which is going to take the responsibility upon him, and he's going to deal with all these challenges, for them and on their behalf. It's very similar to what we're doing today. Look at what stage of development as Jews or as an Americans are we? Are we looking for the ultimate, to the celebrity Messiah to come and solve us from our problems, or we're looking to solve the problems ourselves?
Former.
You want the Messiah to sit down in Washington D.C. The same thing whether it's Washington D.C. or you want this one Donald Trump or you want Hillary. Everybody wants to be the Messiah. I'll solve your problem. You just sit there on your big behind, do absolutely nothing. I'll take care of you. You keep why? Because you are not mature enough to have slaves. The great generation, the generation of World War II, is the generations that were willing to take things to his own hands and to take care of business. We want somebody else to do the job for us. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Am Yisrael understands that and decides to take matter to his own hands, and they show maturity. They go in so and so forth. So let's go just one second. Let's go to the very, we mentioned before that there's a very unique request that Moshe Rabbeinu is asking HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's asking very question. You should know that this is the only time in the whole Torah, the only time that it says the following. Usually we say, Vayedaber Hashem el Moshe lemor. And Hashem spoke to Moshe to say, This time he says, "Vayidaber Moshe el Hashem lemor." I'm sure you all paid attention to that, right? Moshe's talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, say, "Yo, Kadosh Baruch Hu, rega, I have an issue here with you. I want to tell you something." Moshe is telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu the following. He said, you told me, and by the way, we're all wrong with the way we look at it. We look at always at this conversation of Moshe Rabbeinu and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is like, Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to hey, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, please, Be'emet, I really want to see it, please, pretty please, You're a fool if you're thinking so. You're a fool. Moshe is saying to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen, you told me that I'm not going to cross the Jordan. Crossing the Jordan to the promised land, aka, right, the west bank of the Jordan that belongs to the Jews. But I just want to tell you, apropos that, I'm just thinking, if the UNESCO and so on, all the Chevre, the Christian world, were willing to denounce the fact that the Jews have a historical right to the Temple Mount. So basically what they're doing, they're denouncing Jesus himself, right? Isn't it? Because denying the fact that the Jews had a temple there ever is denying the fact that Jesus was ever alive. As a Jew or as a whatever he was. I can't keep my mouth shut. What can I tell you? It annoys me. But it annoys me more than everybody keeps their mouth shut. And there. Yeah. Anyway, so to the West Bank, the historical land of Am Yisrael. I am not embarrassed to say that. I don't understand why Mr. Bibi Netanyahu cannot stand in front of the people and say, the land of Israel belongs to the Jewish people. Nobody will tell us what to do. I don't understand. What's the problem? Maybe I'm an idiot. I don't know, but I don't understand. If you don't come and make a statement about your own land, so somebody else will make it. So Bichlal, if you don't see the connection of the land of Israel to the nation of Israel, based on what the Torah said, what the Bible said, so they're right, you are an occupier. About right, you come in there, go back to Poland, or whatever the heck you came from. The reason we are there because HaKadosh Baruch Hu told us that this is our land. So therefore, whoever's the occupier is those darn Mongolians, whatever, Palestinians. Can build whatever. Never mind. Let's not get into this. Anyway, so he says, you told me that I'm not going to enter the promised land. You told me I'm not entering the promised land. The promise says, by the way, it's not a Chinese restaurant, But you told me that I'm going to die here, right? Here, where he's going to die? He's going to die in Moab. He dies in Moab. So I'm only asking you for one thing. I'm not asking you to put me in. By the way, okay, we'll get to it. All I'm asking you is for a leader who will take my place. And that what we call Adat Hashem, that the nation of God is not going to be like a flock of sheep with no shepherd. You have to have a leader. And that's the only thing that Moshe Rabbeinu asks. We all know that the key word for the essence of any commander, real commander-in-chief, not commander-in-cheese, or commandant with cheese. I don't know what we're going to have today. Who knows what's going to come up? Who knows? With the elections. I think Sam should run for president. At least listen to what I say. That was crazy. Anyway, the real essence of a commander, and especially Israeli commanders, not commandos, commanders, leaders, is the word after me, acharai. especially by the paratroopers. It was a key word to say acharai. There's a quite dispute who exactly came up with this concept, and I can tell you exactly who came up with this concept. Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu came up with this concept, acharai, after me. After me. I'm going to lead you and you're going to come after me. He's a commander that goes ahead of his troops. He's not a commander that sits at sitcom in Florida while his troops are fighting in whatever it is, in Afghanistan. He will be with the troops right there. Just like as a president, maybe should have been on the boat when they killed Osama bin Laden. And why did they throw him in the ocean? Should dangle him from an antenna somewhere. Anyway, so Moshe Rabbeinu is asking for a leader. He's asking for a leader. It says Ish al ha'edah, a person over the crowd. He's not asking. Look what he's saying. He's not asking. Listen. I want somebody gadol hador. I want gaon gadol. Gaon, genius, gadol b'torah b'ma'asim. He's not asking for somebody like this. He's not asking for somebody. Tzaddik ben tzaddik. I want tzaddik echad gadol, great tzaddik. I'm not okay. He's not asking for somebody who is a supermind. He's asking for like an Einstein. He's not asking about somebody with yichus that has his father was his father, the Rebbe of downtown Bushwick. He's not asking for anybody like this. He's asking only one thing. Ish ala eda asher yitzeh lifnehem v'asher yavo lifnehem. Who is going to lead them? He's going to lead them and they're going to follow him into battle. He's going to be the first one to lead them. We need a person like this who's going to give an example. He's not going to tell the people, you know what? You go, I'll be right there. You guys, you go there, and I'll come along. When you finish with the job, I'll come in. No. He doesn't want a person like this. He doesn't want a leader like that. He wants a leader who's going to go. He says, guys, after me. Let's go. Do we have leaders like this, by the way? Is there a leader like this anywhere in the world today? I don't think so. Not in Israel, not in America, not in France, not in Germany, not in England. Nowhere. Leaderless world. We have clowns that are not leaders. They're very entertaining. Politicians are like, how do you call this thing? How do you call this?
Sitcoms?
Not sitcoms. Reality shows. Running for president is a reality show. And we love reality show. Because even reality is a show. It's not real. So he says, by doing so, you're going to need a real shepherd to Am Yisrael. What's a shepherd? The shepherd leads the flock, and they follow him, and then he guards them when they're eating. He guards them. So he needs somebody with those qualities, who is going to give a self-example. He's going to give us a self-example of how to act. How should a Jew act? He needs a leader, a shepherd, that the people would follow. Because what he's asking from the people, first of all, he's asking from himself. He's not going to ask things from the people that he's not going to ask for themselves. And that, of course, Moshe Rabbeinu taught us. Moshe Rabbeinu taught us this thing. Do our leaders do that? When they tell you pollution, they fly to a show from Washington to New York in the 747 that makes more pollution than I will do in a lifetime. Or conserving gasoline. We have to go green. So you guys gonna drive, battery propelled, wind propelled cars, and I'm gonna drive with my SUVs like an SOB. Right? Our leaders do that. You need to conserve. It is very fascinating to me. There was supposed to be a bill that the ex-presidents will make less money. Our president just signed, no such thing. Now when I'm president, I'm going to make money. So they're going to make about $400,000 as president. On top of all the other money they're going to make. That's how Clinton became a millionaire, right? That's you asking for more money as a president, and what? And you're asking me to pay more taxes for who? Now you understand why there's always civil unrest and a president. Isn't that enough that you're the president of the United States and shish kebab? Isn't that enough? Why do you have to get money for it? Show an example. A president makes $400,000, says, I'm going to work for $1, take the rest of the 300,000, and so on and so forth, give it to charity, give it to education. Just do something. Give it to a homeless fund. Isn't that going to be great? Create a whole different view of what we could do with our money, or how an example should be given. But no, they want the money to themselves, but they're going to take it from you. That's not a leader. That's a cockroach. It's not a leader. Not all of them. Not only one. All of them. Yeah, the same thing as Bibi. He built himself a villa in Caesarea. Out of what money? See, we got it all wrong. I told you this a million times. You want to learn leadership? Analyze the ways of Moshe Rabbeinu. Then you become a good leader. You become a true leader. And if you cannot become a true leader, please don't lead, because you're leading the people right off the cliff. So if you look again, let's go back again at let's look again at the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu did not enter Israel, according to what we said beforehand. We might see that this reason is a little bit more complex than what we thought it is. The leadership of Moshe Rabbeinu, every leader has his own style, was very intense. So very intense, very powerful. That maybe, to a certain extent, overshadowed. So Moshe Rabbeinu was so great, it overshadowed, cast a shadow on Am Yisrael, and in a way, maybe prevented Am Yisrael from developing the tools they needed to become a nation of leaders, a nation that could develop powers to deal with struggles and so on and so forth. By the way, don't think that this is so difficult, so hard work. Most of our parents make those mistakes. They're going to tell you what to go to school, where to go to school, what you should do with your life, and so on and so forth. And not because they really care about you, because they feel that that's what they should have done. So they're going to tell you to do that. Right? You want to become, I don't know what you want to become. What do you want to become? You want to become a carpenter. No, you got to become a dentist. I don't want to become a dentist. Become a carpenter. Well, look, that's what it's going to be. You don't like it, all of a sudden they're going to pull up the Kibud Avayim thing. I want to learn in Yeshiva. No, you're not going to learn in Yeshiva. Why? Because I don't let you. Who's going to take care of you? You're going to be casting a shadow over you. Very intense. You have to understand, as a leader, you need to provide your people, your troops, so-called, with a sense of security and being solid, not of casting a shadow over. Maybe it feels good, everybody loves you, but then becomes a very, very difficult relationship of dependency and rebellion. So that leadership, which is needed, right? Moshe Rabbeinu did this, and that kind of leadership was needed for a bunch of slaves. They needed somebody with a very strong personality to lead them out of slavery, because that's the only thing they know how to respond to. They grew up with the mentality of a slave driver who's going to tell them what to do. Not that Moshe Rabbeinu was a slave driver, but Moshe Rabbeinu was an authority. That's what we're doing, that's it. No questions asked. So they needed that at the time. That was needed at the time. The same thing as a child at the beginning needs that kind of a leadership from a parent. I'm going to tell you what to do. You don't have the skills yet. You are premature yet in taking responsibility. But slowly, if you want to have a healthy kid, you're going to create a little bit more room for it. You still constrict him a little bit, but you need to create room for it to grow better roots. Because you don't want to have bonsai kids. They're always constricted and restricted within the pot that they're at. You want a big tree. That's how you want to have. Deep roots. That you need room. At the beginning you need support. The same thing, you're going to take a tree. You're going to put 2 poles to support it. You're going to leave it for a long time. You see 2 trees, and I've seen it. My neighbor had 2 trees. One, he took the poles out quickly. One, he didn't. The difference, they were planted at the same time. One has a trunk this big, the other one is this big. This big had support. He never grew and developed. You went down on sandy. The other one is still there. So that kind of leadership was needed at the beginning, and which is different from leadership that's supposed to guide you of how to deal with the new reality and the difficulty that the new reality of coming to Eretz Israel will face. It's you need a different type of leadership, right? So it's very, very possible that under the new circumstances that it is, we need a less powerful leader, a less dominant leader in terms of its overwhelming figure, and a leadership that will be more working so-called with the people in the land, that will be able to bring up new leadership from among the people, creating new leaders from within. Like an outreach, like an academy for leaders. So that need for changing of perspective or in patterns of behavior comes out in this Parashat Phinchas, immediately after nominating whoever is going to substitute Moshe, which is Yehoshua. Yehoshua is asking from a leader who is going to enter his so-called big shoes by continuing treating Am Yisrael as a flock of sheep, right? That needs a leader who's going to do everything for him, right? And he says, "Hifkod Hashem Elokei Haruchot lekol basar ish al ha'edah asher yitzeh lifnehem," who is going to go in front of them, "V'asher yavo lifnehem," which is going to come in front of them, "V'lo tiyeh adat Hashem ketzod asher en la roeh," and adat Hashem should not be like a herd with no shepherd. And look what HaKadosh Baruch Hu is answering him. So you see, we have 2 different approaches here of exactly how things happen there. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers, and he says a very complex answer to him. He says, yes, in a way, okay, fine, I agree with you. And the pasuk says, "Vayidaber Moshe el Hashem le'emor," and then on the other side, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to him, we need a different leadership, honey. We don't need somebody to walk into your shoes. He says, "Kach lecha et Yehoshua ben Nun," take a Yehoshua ben Nun, "ish asher ruach bo." He has his own spirit in him. Ruach bo. He has his own spirit in him. V'samachta et yadav alav, and you put your hands upon him, etc., etc. And ולפני אלעזר הכהן יעמוד ושאל לו במשפט ההורים לפני השם, על פיו יצאו ועל פיו יבואו, הוא וכל בני ישראל איתו וכל העדה. Things are going to be different now, Moshe Rabbeinu. Before, I talked to you and you told them what to do. That's not going to happen from now on. You're going to go to Yehoshua, he has a ruach bo, you're going to hand over the authority to him. However, he's going to go to Elazar HaKohen, they're going to do the Urim V'Tumim, the oracle, right? And according to what Elazar HaKohen is going to tell him, based on the oracle, that's what he and the people will do. So in a way, he's creating here the whole structure of the system, of the governing system. At the beginning, it was Moshe Rabbeinu. Now we're going to have checks and balances. The leader cannot do everything. There is somebody who's going to check him, right? There's going to Elazar HaKohen will be like the Congress to the president. Before he was a king. Now we don't need a king. Now we're going to have a president and a Congress. And according to that, they're going to come. And according to that, they're going to go. Not only that, him and Bnei Israel. So he's going to be told, but that's going to be different. So Moshe asked in front of his dad, right, of course, to give somebody who's going to act just like him, which is as we said, a very strong and so on and so forth. The Kadosh Baruch Hu answers him is going to be completely different. It's about time that the people also would take responsibility for their actions as well. So therefore you see how it changed also, and he had a reflection to it, how things has changed during the time of Yehoshua conquering the land, how things were a little bit different, and really how relevant it was to that time. Bnei Israel never blame Yehoshua with their complaints, oh, you brought us to this land. They blame Moshe because it just wasn't fitting anymore. It's a big lesson to learn here. Then again, they never blame him. And even when they had the big no-no, boo-boo, not as big as Hillary's emails, but the Sipur of the Givonim, with the Givonites, the people, Am Yisrael complains on the Neseim, on the chieftains. So by doing so, in a way, they reduced the complaints to the head figure, leader, to the chieftains. So now they're not complaining about Yehoshua; they're complaining about the Neseim. Many times it seems, although in the Chumash, that the reason, so to summarize it, that the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu did not enter Am Yisrael is because of the chet of Mei Meriva, because they hit the rock instead of talking to the rock. It's very possible, as we just saw, that maybe there is a different reason altogether, which has not as a result of any possible chet that Moshe Rabbeinu did. And it says there, how am I saying that? Very simple. In Parasaht, Vayetchanan, in Parashat Vayetchanan, it says, when Moshe is asking the last time to enter the land, from the answer of Hashem, it seems that maybe it would have been possible to be mochel on what you did. Maybe it will be possible to mochel about what you did. However, there's no reason. That's not the reason why he's not entering. And Moshe is saying something that is sometimes hard, but I think we always miss it. And he says, "Vayithaber Hashem bi lemanchem velo shamai elai." Kadosh Baruch Hu was angry with me. Lemanchem. What's a lemanchem? Lo biglalchem, not because of you. Lemanchem, lemancha. What's a lemancha? For your sake. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry with me for your sake. For your sake, velo shamai elai, and he did not listen to me. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu listens to everything that Moshe told him besides this. Because he told him, Moshe, this is not about you, mister. This is not about you. The people are greater than you. And don't forget this. The people are greater than any leader. And we learn in Masechet Sanhedrin regarding the qualities of a Jewish king. A Jewish king is not like any other king. He's obligated. We sentence him. He can go to court. And so it's a different entity altogether. So le'ma'anchem, for your sake, I didn't enter the land. So therefore it was, it's for the sake of Am Yisrael. That's why we need a new leadership. And we need new people that would be able to deal with this ever-changing reality of entering the land and building the Jewish home. And for that, we need a leader with different qualities that will be able to combine within himself other elements that maybe Moshe Rabbeinu did not have. Because when they live in the desert, they were very lofty. They left very spiritual lives. But in order to enter the land, we need a person that is going to be well versed in day-to-day things, how to plant and how to do. We don't need such a mystic like Moshe Rabbeinu. We need more of a CEO. So that's for your sake. And the same thing to us, Rabotai. The same thing to us. One day will come that you'll become the head of a family. Be'ezrat Hashem, some of you already are, but you are the head of a family. You need to guide your kids sometimes like Moshe Rabbeinu. And then eventually you know that Baruch Hashem, you'll have a son, and all of a sudden you'll need to prepare your son to become the head of the family. And he goes up and you bring yourself a little bit down for his sake, not for your sake. For his sake, because if you will be such a tyrant, if you will be such the person who pushes everybody, always comes to the center of the family. He's always in the center of events. He's always the main, anywhere he goes, it's all about him. When you're going to go one day out of the world, you're going to leave your kid in misery. He would not know how to deal with the situation. So when your kid has shown, give your kids freedom. However, when you give them freedom, you give them in return responsibility. Show me responsibility, I'll give you freedom. Freedom, responsibility. Freedom without responsibility, it's a recipe for disaster. Responsibility with no freedom is also a recipe for disaster. So therefore, we need to stop with the appetite of disaster that we have, and we need to create more room, and this is an ongoing relationship. And that's what we should do as parents. And slowly, we'll go down and they'll go up. And that will get us a good turn into Am Yisrael. And their children be the same thing. Because we're educating by example. And don't ever ask your kid to do something that you don't ask from yourself. Because that will be the biggest lie. So you have to remember those things. And when you pick yourself leaders, sometimes it's time to change a new leader. It's very good that I don't think that in recent American history we had 3 terms of president from the same party. Always changing. And that ultimately was good for America. Whether we had a good president or we had a bad president. It's good. It's good. Next time we'll pick up somebody better, hopefully. However, we cannot, and that's the concept of America, we cannot be kings, because that's what they ran away from. And you cannot be tyrants at home. And we need to understand that we need to grow. And the best thing for us to do so, to become leaders, is to assume also responsibility on ourselves. We need to be masters of our own destiny. And we need to ask help if we don't know. There are plenty of support around us, parents, friends, rabbeim, and so on and so forth, that will help us in this journey. However, we have to do so. Don't wait for somebody. If you see something wrong, that's why the Torah tells us, "Hocheach tochiach et amitecha." Don't hide behind somebody's back and say, ooh, my daddy is bigger than your daddy. Ooh, he did it. No. If you see something wrong, stand up, say it in a polite manner. Say, sir, you're doing something wrong. Don't be afraid of that. This is a tremendous parasha to learn proper leadership skills. Yehi ratzon, that we're all going to be leaders. We're going to be a nation of leaders. Because after all, we need to lead the world in the ways of Hashem. And one day, Be'ezrat Hashem, and we should do it now. Why one day we should crown Hashem as our king and the ultimate leader. We should follow the path of Hashem. V'nilech b'derech Hashem kulanu, yachad Etzion b'mera b'yameinu amen.